your winner gets out on top. Make some noise. It's unanimous. Mr. Mike Power gets the win. Congratulations to Power.
And we're live. What's up, everybody? We already got Dan Savage in the chat. What's up, Dan? How you doing, man?
Hey.
Yeah. So this is gonna be a fun show. Off the bat, I do have a fun story to tell, though. But again, let's do some quick introductions. We got the lovely Sara. We got the Make-A-Wish kid Herbie over here, and then.
That's gonna get you canceled. That won't get me. I'm safe. I'm crystal clear, baby.
No, we have.
How can you do an intro like that?
He's so mean.
Wait, can I steal your joke, Nick?
Do it.
Gosh.
And then we got the guy that they used to call white back in high school.
Yeah.
Oh.
Exactly.
Oh God, no! Horrible.
I'm just gonna.
No, I'm leaving. Yeah, you're done.
We're off to a great start. And who is our lovely guest today, Nate?
Well, that is the fun part, because if you don't remember, Mike, the first time we had an interview, I thought you were someone else. Do you
No
remember
way.
that?
To be honest with you, I don't remember that.
So it was with Jelani. And
Okay.
and
Are you bringing me back now?
Yeah, we did an interview. And I told my buddy Jelani, this is probably, 5-6 years ago. And I was doing a podcast back then. And I thought, I assumed there would only be one person with the name Power in the drift world. Like, I'm sure there's and I kept hearing this name, like Matt Power, Mike Power. I was like, oh, I thought it was the same guy, or I didn't know there was a difference. So I told my buddy Jelani, it's like, yo, I got Matt Power on. So he assumed it was Matt Powers. Turns out when you pop on the video, he's like, "Oh, what's up, Mike?" And he was so confused because it's like, that's not Matt Power, it's Mike Power. And so
What's funny is those dudes style wise couldn't be more different.
Oh,
Your
yeah.
cars
No.
are so completely different. Sure, they're S chassis,
big
but you guys
ass
don't look
happy.
alike.
This is before I
Yeah,
knew
and
much of anyone in the FD world, but yes.
Yeah. And he's got the big no-no on the last name, which is the S that
Yeah.
I
Yep.
try to stay away from as hard as possible. But I think I have a story that would actually top that occurrence.
Okay.
When I won my first ever FD round, which was 2020 at Irwindale,
Mm-hmm.
FD sent Matt Powers my check.
What?
So I reached out and I was like, I wasn't tripping or anything. I was like, hey, I think there was a winnings or something that I was told that I was going to be receiving. I haven't received anything, and it's 3 months after the fact. And
Yeah.
they hit me back up a couple days later, and they were like, oh, so funny story. We accidentally sent it to Matt Powers. And then
What did Matt say?
I reached out to him and I was like, I heard you came into some money. He's like, yeah, thanks, dude. He's like, good job at Irwindale. I was like, don't cash it. Let him send it back.
Oh, that's
my
so
God.
great. I mean,
I was
it
like, that's
is.
some fire money, dude.
Yeah, I know, dude. Well, isn't it not the greatest last name in drifting, though?
Power? Yeah, it's sick.
It's it's pretty awesome for racing, and it made it the easiest business name ever, Power Racing LLC. So
Yeah.
it's just I get to rep my name, and I think it's worked out pretty well.
Heck yeah, dude. Well, again, appreciate everyone coming in. We're getting people in the chat already. We got Malik, we got Phil, we got also Michelle. So, okay, it's your mom. You didn't tell me that there, bud. I'm glad we got some family support for Herbie. Let's go.
Hell
We love
yeah.
Herbie's mom. You raised an excellent gentleman.
Did you tell your mom about your new business venture yet? I mean, you're already
Oh my
sitting
God,
there.
You better stop that. You better stop that.
She would be supportive all the way through.
Nate is referencing the furniture of choice in Herbie's background today. I like that he's changing it up every time. I never know where you are, dude. Next time we go live, you could be in a cave somewhere, and I would not be shocked at all. I'd be like, oh, Herbie's streaming from a
Maybe I
cave.
will be.
That'd be pretty cool.
That'd be pretty dope.
Maybe one of these days it's in a machine plowing snow, and I just got the laptop propped up.
Possibly, man. Oh my gosh. Oh,
I'm gonna have a pack of Marlboro Reds too, just ready to go.
Yeah. The whole shebang.
Bumping some country tunes.
We getting demonetized here or what?
we're trying, man. We're getting close. We're getting close. All right, guys. So let's actually get into some of the topics we got going on here. And again, I want to thank you again, Mike, for coming on. It's going to be a fun time. So
yeah, no, I'm excited.
Obviously, I think you have one of the coolest styles that I've seen in drifting, where it's a very different style. I guess the only one that I've really seen that's been similar to you would be like a Sean Illingsworth when it comes to your styling. So, like, can you just give me some inspiration of where that came from, or like what was the style choices and where did that all come from for you?
So like from an early age, I came from like when I was really young, I did go-kart racing, but I didn't really take anything away from that other than a little bit of skills. But I was really big into BMX, and I loved just wearing black. I think it was like my mom told me one day, she was like, "Oh, black is like slimming and edgy and it looks cool." And I was like, okay. And like my mom's my best friend. So it's like, dude, yeah, I'm going to take your advice. And then started wearing black. And then it turned into just everything always black. And I would like build my BMX bikes, and I used to make them like all these cool colors. And honestly, I have nothing against cool colors. It's just I would get so bored of them so fast. I'm like, I'm tired of seeing this color. And then I made a bike that was all black, and I never touched it. I was like, all right, like black is it. Like it's just so easy, and it always looks good. And it hides like a lot of imperfections. So it's really good on the race car because like you can bang it up, and you got black duct tape. Go ahead, slap it on there. 20 feet, you ain't gonna tell it's there. Exactly. I have plenty of footage from you guys where you can't even tell that the car's held together with zip ties and freaking bubble gum and duct tape. Right. So I'm like,
zip ties are black.
Sick. Yeah, exactly. But like, also the funny thing is like so many media people hate that my car is all black. I hear it all the time. They're like, oh, it's so hard to shoot. Like you need the perfect light, and like the car just blends and it's like hard to see. It's like, whatever. I don't care.
I like it.
Get better at shooting.
Get like the highlights of the body lines and everything. I'm like, I think it looks pretty tough.
Well,
and it makes the car look smaller.
Yeah, I mean, and I'll just quick throw up. Let's see if I have a picture while I'm chilling here. But you added some white this year, which is a little different for you.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I wanted to like, I don't know, kind of spice things up a little bit and kind of add some stuff that people aren't really used to. And like I said, I'm not really against colors. I'm more of like just on the side of grayscale. So it's just like adding white. I'm like, yo, white is sick. It's just as cool as black. The only thing is like when you buff it up, like it doesn't look that great. But I still wanted to bring that like heavy style to it and do something fun. And I was like, dude, it'd be sick if we did like some chopper flames like on the side of the car. And we didn't have a title for this past season, so I was like, let's just rock like a big NASCAR door number on it, because like when I used to race go-karts as a kid, that's like what you did was you rocked your number on the door,
right.
So that's why I was like I feel like this will look cool. It's just an idea in my head. And then we finished the car, and a bunch of people were like, yo, this is like the sickest livery you've ever done. And it was so simple too, so I was just super pumped on it.
So you did like a Talladega Nights, like just me for this season then.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, honestly. I mean, we still had huge support with Type S Auto, and like they got their spot on the car, but just no one on the door. So I was like, hell yeah, like let's do something sick. And I could have been smarter like business wise and put like the Power Racing logo on it like I usually do, but I don't know. I just wanted it to be like almost like a less is more approach, where it's just like do the number, and I bet it'll like look cool. And I still put the Power Racing URL at the bottom of the door, so everyone loved it that I talked to about it, and I freaking loved it. So I thought it was awesome.
That
Very
counts.
cool race car, but keeping your style.
Yeah, exactly. It's like one of those things where like every year I change the livery, and I'm always like, you gotta do it better than last year, and like, you know, come out with something sicker. And it was getting to the point where the car was just like, these designs were getting like too out of pocket and a little bit too crazy, where I was like, no, we gotta like dial it back and just pick key features to like push forward and just make that what it is.
Right.
Yeah. Back to the simple days. Dude, that S13, the all black. I know you share it from time to time still. When you finish that thing, dude, shee-wee.
Dude, yeah, the
And you still
S13
had the
was like,
SR, right?
that's like a car that I'll like reference all the time.
Yeah.
When it had the SR, it was, yeah, it had, well, it went through a lot of changes, but yeah, when it was back in the SR days where it was just plain black with like gunmetal wheels, that
Yeah.
was such a killer look. Everyone
Yeah,
was
I
like,
remember-
dude,
I remember seeing
unreal.
that thing in the pits, and I was like, "Holy smokes, man!"
Yeah, like looking back now, I understand why people are like, what the hell are you doing? Like, why is this thing so nice? Because it's
I don't
like
know.
now, like the driving that I know how to do and like the driving I'd want to do, it's like almost pointless putting a car that clean together, because it's like,
Yeah.
nah, it's like this thing could get smashed.
Right.
But
I feel like
that
you've
is,
always had a clean car. You're like known for that. I can't ever name a time where you had like
Yeah.
a missile going.
yeah, I mean, I'm working on it. I currently have a missile project going, so we'll see how dirty that thing gets. But yeah, it's just, I've always wanted to represent myself like proper, and like just bring my style to the table, and
Right.
you know, just look cool while doing what I like to do.
Absolutely.
Achieved.
So,
So what's
yeah,
the missile
appreciate it.
project?
Oh, so if anyone goes onto my YouTube, there's a video. My girlfriend decided to surprise me by buying me a 350Z for my birthday.
I saw that.
And it was the sickest surprise ever. I was completely caught off guard, had no idea. And I did my first track day in it completely stock. And we're just going to build like a really subtle like seat time car out of it, because
Cool.
over the season she saw how important it is for me to like drive more. So she
Mhm.
wanted to help like me achieve that. So now we're gonna put together a car to like do a shit ton of like seat time driving
Right.
and like fun thrash driving, just not caring what shape the car is in as long as it runs.
That's
yeah.
so sick. How
Oh,
did you
yeah,
like
she's the
the
best.
350Z stock? Like just drifting
Oh,
it
it was
as
actually,
is.
it was so much fun. I mean, it was we drove it at AVS, and that track is like pretty like famous for drifting, but when you're driving on it, it's pretty bumpy and like kind of crazy, the pavement. So driving it in a stock car was like kind of awesome and kind of horrible at the same time, because the suspension was smooth because it was stock, so it wasn't super bumpy.
right.
But then when you transition the car, it's like you wanted to fly out of the window. You know, it was like so much body roll in the thing that you, and no bucket seat, so I was flying over like
Oh yeah.
doing an ab workout trying to keep myself in the seat. It was so wild, but I had such a blast. And
Cool.
surprisingly, those things have like a good amount of angle stock. So like I really barely spun out. I thought I was going to be spinning out all day because I'm used to having like Wisefab angle,
Yeah.
but we actually like turned some laps and it worked out. So I'm pretty pumped on the future for that little car.
Sick.
Hell yeah.
So wait, quick shout out your YouTube so everyone who's watching can follow along with your build and all that.
Oh yeah, it's just Mike Power and at Mike Power Drift on YouTube. You guys check it out. We're trying to make a bigger push to get a lot more content flowing out, because we've been having a lot more fun with it, and just trying to be creative and come up with cool new content for everyone to watch.
Right.
Sick.
But yeah, it's a one-man team right now, so it does get difficult at times to be pumping them out every week, you know?
Yeah, for sure.
So I guess that kind of leads me into, okay, I think you've officially announced you're not running FD next year, correct? If I
No, I haven't.
Oh, okay. I don't know. Oh, sorry. I don't know why I thought I.
No,
thought
it's
I-
okay.
Maybe I
It's
misread
because
what.
It's because the list came out and your name wasn't on it.
That's right.
So the list did come out, but I
Yeah.
have not officially made a statement, and nothing
Okay.
against you guys, but I
Yeah.
am going to not make an official statement
No.
on the podcast, just because I want to put something together for all the people following me on my side to hear it
100%,
from me
man.
first. But yeah, so
Okay. So it will be an interesting question. I guess my question is then. So obviously we don't know exactly what the plan is for next year, which it's still early. There's still plenty of time to figure out what you want to do for next year. But
Yeah.
let's go into this then. So content goals, kind of what are you looking to kind of create outside of FD is going to be my question then.
Well, outside of FD, I think doing a lot of social events will be really fun. Grid Life has been on my radar for many years, and I've been wanting to do it for so long that I think we're going to make a real push to get out there and try and do as many of those as we possibly can. Along with that, I think doing some competitive driving outside of FD will be really good for us to stay competitive. And also, some of these competitions are really great. Get a feel for the grassroots community that's getting into, pro-am, going up
Right.
to pro spec, get a real feel for the future of all those drivers. And also, like, some of these comps, they put up good money. So it's like, hey,
Yep.
like, if we have a program that's allowed to go there and compete, it's like, why not get some competitive seat time, win some money, and do as many of those as you can as well. So, and there's so many popping up all over the country
Right.
too. So it's like, that's another reason to go travel and have a lot of fun.
Exactly.
What do you think about the street series, or like they have to look stylish to compete, or it's got to be like a street car? How do you feel about those?
I think they're awesome. I think it's really cool because you're giving these people an outlet that are like really focused on doing stylish driving and like keeping a certain standard when it comes to driving. So I think it's really awesome. So it's like I almost kind of play that role a little bit with my driving because it's like I want my car to look stylish, but at the same time, I would sacrifice my style for performance. So it's like
Well,
some of those cars, they're like, they won't sacrifice performance for style. So it's like sometimes the driving can be a little iffy to watch because you can tell that they're battling the car because of the choices they made to make it look the way it is. But
Yes.
as far as like, like basically the main thing that comes to mind is like final bout. Anytime I've been to a final bout or I see stuff coming out from those events, it's always awesome. And like I have a lot of people on the East Coast that they're basically like my family, like the faction guys and the front street guys.
Oh, yeah.
And they totally kill it. And their driving is no joke. So like I can totally get behind it. I think like if I had a car that was super stylish and wasn't like 800 to 1,000 horsepower, it's like, yeah, of course I would want to go do that. Because
Yeah.
it just looks
Right.
like fun. It's like the love of drifting,
For sure.
Well,
Absolutely.
so that kind of brings me to this point to where you recently moved out to California, correct? So so you came from one of the biggest hotbeds in drifting over in the Northeast, home of like Club Loose and all those guys. So obviously getting into drifting and all that kind of stuff, you've had some of the best avenues to drive and stuff like that. What's it like moving to the West Coast?
Yeah, you
area?
traitor.
Yeah.
I get it. It's
It's-
nice out all the time. I get it.
No, it's I mean, there's part of me where I still wish I had that, that outlet and still having access to Englishtown, being able to go. Like I see all my buddies, they go out there and drive Englishtown like basically whenever they want with East Coast Drift School.
Yep.
And I'm like, dude, that's so sick. I love that. But for me, it was like I sacrificed having that available to me for trying to better my program, grow roots for myself, and be surrounded by people in the industry to help get my name out there, and just dealing with some like internal stuff on my own on the East Coast. Long
Right.
Island, where I'm from, it's a lovely place, but there's really nothing drifting about it up until right when I left. They start doing drift events on the airstrip in Grumman. So whatever.
Yeah.
But so I was just dealing with my own stuff, and I just really wanted to start fresh and build something for myself. So that's why I trekked out here, and I'm still still working on it on a daily basis. You know, it hasn't been an overnight thing, so it's constantly something that I'm working towards, just having a better foundation to do what I do.
Definitely a
sure.
lot more racing potential on the West Coast, unfortunately. Yeah, well,
Yeah,
especially
there
for like
is,
this
but
too. I mean, like for
there
drift,
is, but
there's so many
yeah.
shots.
I'd say the driving on the East Coast is far more superior, though.
Oh, for
Like
sure, I would agree with
there's
that.
there's some like shredders out here, and there's some decent tracks, but it's nothing compared to the East Coast. Like you go to the East Coast, you're guaranteed to be driving with like some of the best grassroots drivers like in the country, 100%.
Phil's gonna be stoked to hear that. We got a big East Coast West Coast rivalry going on in the chat like every week.
Oh,
And
nice. Yeah.
speaking of the chat, they want to know if you've ever done hot pit before and if you would consider doing it next year.
I have not done hot pit, but I have been considering doing it. So that's something that's on the radar as well, because that's right here. So, you know, it seems like they put up like a really good competition, and the
Mhm.
driving is downright nasty. So it's one
Agreed.
of those things that right away I was like, yeah, we should probably get into that too, because again, it's competitive driving. There's a good prize purse, and there's still pros that are going and doing it. You got Trenton Beecham, who just won over the weekend, and then you got Rome, who took the championship. So it's like,
Yep.
Mhm.
all right, why not throw another pro into the mix? I mean, it kind of sucks for the guys that are like up and coming, but at the same time, it's like you want to drive at that caliber. It's like surround yourself with people who are driving that good. So it's like
Exactly.
challenge them a little bit.
And what
Yeah.
other sport, motorsport, etc., do you get to compete with the professionals at the highest level of your sport? Like no other thing aside from drifting. You can't just go do like a pro-am basketball game and like
Yeah.
start shooting hoops against like the pros. So I think
Yeah.
it's cool, but that's just me.
And even if you could imagine how much money you'd have to spend,
Yeah,
it's
Right.
like
for sure.
it'd be unreal. Like, dude, like if like even if you wanted to sign up for like a single pro round just to get your feet wet, like dude,
Right.
like 15, 25, $30,000, like that's a lot of money to spend for a weekend, you know?
That's
So
true.
it's
Yeah.
like
Yep.
if you're guaranteed to have enough money to run a season with hot pit, and you get to bumpers with friggin' pros, it's like,
Yeah.
dude, sign up. You should definitely do it.
For sure.
Absolutely.
Agreed. How do you feel about the rumors of clutch kickers coming back? Potentially, maybe, possibly.
This is news to me. I have not heard a single rumor.
Oh,
They
okay.
must be
So,
starting on the East Coast.
yes, it'll get over to you
Yeah, but
eventually.
Yeah, but they
they're
did
on
mention
they're on their
something
way.
a few months back that
Mhm.
that they're working on like a bigger release statement and everything, but
Okay.
it is in the works supposedly.
I
But
think
been
it's
quiet ever since then.
unofficially official. I think the
Hmm.
location was discussed to be Mid Pond, and I saw some photos when everybody was down there. They are working on it. I don't know if it looks like it's ready for next year, so that's why, in my opinion, it's like a fat maybe. But I personally would like to see it come back because I thought it was a great series.
So are they working on like the track being more like high speed? I've never personally been to Mid Pond, but it seems like a third gear track, like low horsepower, not crazy
Yeah,
grippy. But yet
I
again,
would
the
agree.
original Clutch Kickers track was kind of like that too. Like
Yeah, it was a
it was
very
tight corners.
Yep.
It's really
That's
tight.
cool.
I've driven it. I liked it, but I'm not, a pro by any means. What I saw them working on first was the capacity because I don't know if you've ever seen Mid Pond. They like you have to like scissor all your trailers in. It's like a game of Tetris to get everybody in there. So how it was back then, they would not have been able to house like all the pros and your guys' big trailers and stuff. So I think they were expanding as far as like parking and pitting. I don't know that they're going to change the layout of the track, but I think it's still early days. Like when I saw the photos, it was just like trees being cleared. So it could be anything.
I hope they keep it like a tight. If they do, if
I
that's
liked
what
it.
it's going to be, I hope it stays nice and tight.
Yeah. If you keep it tight, then it makes for the cars to all be competitive. Like you
Yeah.
can have a
agree.
low horsepower car that
Yep.
just has more grip, and then you have high horsepower cars that have no grip to be able to drive it. So it really evens out the playing field. That's what I liked about the Clutch Kickers track that I was looking at. It's like you have people in like 1,000 horsepower capable cars going up against guys in like Miatas, and I'm
Yeah.
like, okay. And it's like they're having close tandem, and that's the whole reason why anybody wants to watch drifting. So it's like that's the right thing to do, honestly. Is
Absolutely.
if you're not going to have every single car and every single driver committed to one style of driving or one style of car, whether it's like big tire, 1,000 horsepower, then yeah, it should be a tight knit track. I think that's super sick.
It totally is. It's like you're not doing 90-mile-an-hour entries there. It's going to be a lot of like fluid transitions, like quick, snappy stuff. It's pretty sick. I think.
100%.
Yeah, and it would be cool because it's like you'll see like really good drivers who aren't typically like in the position to like flaunt their stuff because they're not driving on these huge platforms. So it's like you get to really use your skill to get through the track because it's tight knit. So you might have a guy who's just a grassroots dude that shreds and he just can come like bop pro drivers over the head and just be like, yo, you ain't shit.
Heck yeah. Everyone loves an underdog.
That would be really cool. Of course.
That's why I like that's why I like FD New Jersey, because it's always a toss up for whoever wins that track.
Yeah.
Dude, for real. That track is so funny because people look at it and they're like, oh, it's just a big figure eight. I'm like, dude, go out there and try and do a full ass like floored lap around that thing. Come back and talk to me. Because you got like three different pavement styles. You have it's like a figure eight shape, but each turn is completely different. Not to mention the middle of the track has a crown that you're like going up over a ramp. When I drive the back turn at Englishtown, I can't see the front of my car. I'm like looking out the window because I can't see over my hood. So it's a downright insane track in such a small package, so it's so much fun. And you get that long run up under the bridge, and
that's
it's
sick.
like, dude, like, why are we going so fast into this turn? Legit, like, you're getting to all the gears that you have at full power, and then you have to go full brake and then get back on the power. Like, it's totally insane, and it's really, really, really fun.
Yeah, you're entering straight into a wall that you really shouldn't ever be anywhere near anyway, but you kind of have to be close to like fully fill one. And
I would get it every time.
I know you did, dude.
Yeah.
And then Outer Zone 2 is like massive, almost as big as I would say like the outside of some of the oval tracks, but obviously it's flat, not banked. And I think everybody sleeps on that zone. You got to be smooth all the way through there.
Yeah, that's the make or break zone because you can really set the car up to have a lot of traction right there. So if you have the car set up really good, like let's say you have a bad entry into one with the driver in front of you, when you get to two and you have that long stretch of turn, like you can really make up the ground right there and kind of save a lap. So it's really important. And you could easily fly off of it. And like the pro spec guys, like, not to talk shit or anything, but like you had a lot of guys who were going off because they have different grip levels, and they would make these pockets on the outside of the turn. So they put holes. So you drop a tire, it just grabs the car and rips it off the track. And you're like,
you're doing 360s, doing McTwists going off into the biggie.
Yeah. And it's like that because you have no idea. You're like, oh, it's just gonna be like grass, and then all of a sudden you're just like,
psych.
Yeah. It's like, and where the hell did that come from?
Violently ripped around.
Then you were saying the center of the tracks, I guess it kind of sends you in a ski jump, but then it goes into another wall, which you have so much more speed coming into than the first one. Like, I have so much respect for that track, so I agree with you on that.
Yeah, you're literally just flooring it towards each wall. So you have the entry wall, and then you cross the track to another wall that you initiate on, drive around onto another wall, and then you're aiming and shooting straight across the track at another wall for the finish. And that last wall is the one that gets people the most, I feel like.
Yeah, it comes up quick. I've seen some people be like, oh.
Oh, yeah, there's been some bad crashes there for sure.
Yeah, that's definitely had a lot of stuffings.
I think that's where Dima ended his Z4 chassis. I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, that was him and Kenrick.
That was rough.
That was 3. Yeah.
Also, I don't know if any of you guys were there, but the first Gambler they ever did there, I think it was the first time they allowed people to compete on that track. There was so many cars that got ripped.
Other than just those two, there were.
That was crazy.
Yeah, there was a bunch.
They changed the walls. So initially the walls were a lot closer, and they moved them back, and I think they painted them differently because I think they were all white, and visually you really couldn't tell like where your car was. And again, I've never driven it, so I'm just repeating what they were saying. But it was really hard to tell where the edge of the track was and how much room you had before you're hitting that concrete straight down barrier.
It's a party, though. It's a
so
party.
crazy.
Yeah. It's hard. It's a hard track.
Yeah.
Everyone sleeps on it, like you said.
But what I liked about the event is you never know who's going to win because it really, you don't need a bazillion horsepower to be competitive at that track. We see a lot of different winners at that track compared to the other rounds, which is always fun to see. But this year was probably one of the most dramatic years, I would say, for you, if I'm not mistaken. For FD.
if it's okay, I was
100%.
wondering how that crash at Long Beach, like what it did to your season, because it looked like it just took all of your momentum, like all the wind out of your sails as far as FD. Just my opinion.
Yeah, it basically ruined it, honestly. Yeah, it basically like ruined the season. Like looking back on it now, that's how I feel about it. But during the season, you have to try and not feel like that because there's, I got to stay in the game and fight to get a good position or just have a good weekend. But yeah, Long Beach was just really bad. And I talked about it in a video that we posted on YouTube, but going into the season, we had so many struggles just getting together the financial side of things to run the season and get the car together. And we basically just made it through the skin of our teeth. And then I was just like, okay, like we just need to keep it clean in Long Beach. And like, then we can like move on and like recuperate and, probably be in a good position. So the fact that we did so much damage to the car, it was such a big deal because to get the car back together after how much damage it went through just took so much that it's like I had the car pretty much ready to go for Atlanta. I would only need a couple more things, but I couldn't do anything. I was just strapped completely and there was nothing I could do. So it was really rough. And then just constantly battling like the ups and downs of trying to make it to each round. And then, having that play a role as a driver kind of sucks because being the team owner and like running it, it's a lot to worry about. And you got other people that you have to take care of and make sure they're fed. They got a place to sleep and they're all happy and working together good. So there's just so much that goes on behind the scenes that people don't see. And they just see me driving. And that's the only shitty part is like, they just see me driving and when it's not good, they're just like, oh, he's just a bad season or like he just doesn't have it. It's like there's so much more that goes into it. It's not just I don't go out there, I'm just like, oh, I'm gonna drive like shit today. I'm just like no, I'm like getting together with my guys, we make sure the car is good, and then we go out and I'm like, all right, let's make it freaking happen. And unfortunately it wasn't like that this year at all. I mean, Seattle was the closest thing, but then we crashed again in practice, and it was just like, Jesus, just cut me a break. Man.
I know you could not catch one last season. I don't know if you like broke a mirror or like what was going on, dude. But he was like,
I broke a mirror every time I crashed.
Oh no, 7 more years.
It's like
we're chilling.
It just kind of gets to the point of like the mental side of drifting and how important it is because Seattle's a great example. Seattle, you were driving, I think that's the best Seattle you've ever had up to the point you crashed. Like it was the best you were driving. You won the seating bracket the day before and you were like on a high note. I remember talking to you, like you were pumped. Like you were driving great. You were hyped, and it's like all it takes is that one mental of just, okay, I just threw it a little harder, and then, disaster strikes. And it's like, so like, what's the mental game like for you when it comes to the driving side?
Yeah, honestly, so like leading up to Seattle, I was just in such a bad place with how much stress and how much was on my shoulders that it was really ruining everything for me. And I was just having a bad time. Like it just like me being at the track just wasn't good. Like I wasn't like there. I wasn't me. So, leading into it, like that same type of mentality was kind of lingering with me as I was on my way out there. And luckily I had Alicia, my girlfriend, with me, and she sees it all. And I talk to her about everything. And she's like, dude, you kill yourself to do this because you love it. And like, why the hell are we here if you're like already being negative and like you're upset? And I'm like, dude, like, it's just like I was so pissed off and frustrated because she was right. And at the same time, I was like, dude, like that's so frustrating. Like, you're right. I should be just so happy that I'm here. And I was just like, you know, I was like, fuck it. I was like, whatever happens, like, I'm just going to be like stoked, like just happy, like appreciate everyone that's in the pit and like just focus, just like 100% focus. And I was like, I'm just going to push myself and like just throw caution to the wind and just have at it. And that like it paid out like big time. And like even to this day, even though Seattle like took me out for the rest of the season and, you know, added to, you know, what I'm dealing with right now, it's still on a high note for me. It's just like, yes, there's something bad that happened during that event and the car got wrecked and I crashed, but that was still such a big event for me because I've never done well at Seattle. Seattle's such a crazy track. And the fact that I was driving that good, pushing myself and learning new things, like I completely changed my entry because I was like told to. I was talking with the team and my buddy Nick, who works for me, he's like, if you want to be competitive here, like you need to enter full on the gas. Like don't touch the brake, don't touch the handbrake, don't make any correction, like literally flick in and power through the whole bank. So that's what we did and it worked out. But so I was like just so happy that I did something that completely scared the shit out of me, where I was like, this is so horrifying every time I enter. But after every lap, I was like, dude, this is crazy. This is so nuts. And I personally feel like I didn't make a mistake too much on the driver's side from the crash because it was more our bash bar got pushed from the day prior from tapping the wall. And I was relying on that bash bar to kind of just caress the wall and then drive off of it. And since we bashed it too much, it moved in. And when I went to go rely on it, it was too far in and the tire ended up grabbing the wall, and that's what pulled the front of the car in. So I was doing the same exact lap that I was doing the day before. It was just the parts that I was relying on to accomplish that wasn't there, and that turned into the crash. And of course, that whole day after that, I was completely just shot. I was so pissed, so upset. Like the car is screwed. I was like, dude, like I don't know what to do. I was like, I can't. Like I don't. There's really. It's going through every single motion to try and make just getting there happen to now trying to have to rebuild the car again. So yes, a lot of sad stuff happened, but at the same time, there's a lot of good stuff that happened. So it's like throughout the whole season of just like taking shit all season and then still putting on a good show, getting the wins that I did the day before and learning and pushing myself to do driving that I've never done before. I was like, I still have it. Like I can still go out and do this. Like just get the car back together and like, we'll go back and we'll do it. So
the fact that you can be this positive after the season you had, I think you need to pat yourself on the back for. And I'm so glad you have that excellent support system of your girlfriend, who obviously like is all in on this, getting you that chassis to use for a car. Like,
she's the best. Yeah, 100%. But yeah, I mean, I'm positive about it because I have to be. It's very easy to be negative. It's super easy for me to be negative and just do nothing about it and be a lazy piece of shit. But it's like that's never gonna work. So it's like I want to do this. I want to continue to do this. I want to be a professional driver and just continue to do that for as long as I possibly can. So being positive and figuring out a way to do it and continue to do it is all I got. So that's just what I have to do. So
it works for you.
Is that like probably what's one of the big lessons that you take away from your experience in FD? Your life lessons?
I really think it's just, I think being positive and not stressing would be the best thing to take away from, because stress for me is definitely the biggest downfall for my performance, because it just kind of eats me up. So if I could learn how to just manage the stress and be able to take everything head on without issues, I think I'd be in a way better place. So that's something that I've been working on, ever since
Yeah.
the beginning of this season. So, but there's a lot of things that play a role in that too. I need to do better with a lot of things involving the program so that they're
Yeah.
not forcing me into these hard situations or like making me make hard decisions. Because there's a lot of times this year where it's like I have to make I have to make a decision and go one direction,
Right.
and direction A sucks and direction B sucks. So being put in a position where you have to make a decision that both suck, that's not good. So
Right.
to get the foundation of the program in a very stable and sturdy position and have all my my dot my I's and cross my T's, I think I'd be in a way better place. So that's the main goal. Just get everything sturdy.
Exactly.
Heck yeah, good plan.
Yeah.
Well, obviously, FD, you get to drive with some of the greatest drivers in the world, and some of the scariest ones. You'd probably argue too. Is like, what's it like? Like, do you have a favorite guy to run around to chase? Do you have a favorite guy that's like you love to drive with, or like, what's it like driving with these guys, man?
It's completely amazing. I think it's really awesome. I don't really have a favorite. I think they're all super impressive. Even the guys who are on the lower end of the point standings, at the end of the season, at the end of the day, we're all there and we all put in hard work and, develop ourselves as drivers to be there. So it's just really impressive knowing what I went through to be there, that there's other people who are doing that.
Yeah.
And then there's other people who have been doing it since the start of FD, and to be able to line up next to them and do a lap and learn how to compete with them. I think it's an amazing experience. I completely love it. I mean, yeah, there's really not anyone that's like my favorite person to like chase or have someone chasing me. I'll tell you my like least. I have like two people that are my least favorite to have them chasing me. So
Let's hear 'em.
I have Odie Bakshis, because when he chases me is the scariest freaking thing ever. In a good way,
Yeah.
But he's just an animal behind the wheel, and the way he drives is, for me, it feels like emotional. Like I see him as like an angry driver.
Yeah.
So he might be super chill behind the wheel, but when he
Right.
drives, I'm like, dude, like he's trying to break the gas pedal, like chasing me right now.
At least
But
that's what it sounds like all the time. Yeah.
Yeah.
exactly. So it's like I resonate with that. I'm like, dude,
Mhm.
there's so much emotion in like this dude. It just feels like he wants to kill me, and I'm just in front of him.
Yeah.
But then you talk to him out the track, and he's just a super nice guy. And
Yeah.
then my second least favorite driver to have chase me is Jeff Jones, because every time I've led him somewhere, he decides to drive into me somehow. And it's never been like bad, but it's
Yeah.
always like early in practice, and
Yeah.
he like
Oh.
takes out like something simple, like something bends, or like a wheel
Yeah.
gets bent or something stupid that is. I'm just like, damn it, Jeff, like come on. Like we're out here winning practice.
Yeah, that sounds like Jeff.
Yeah, but he's a chill dude and he's a solid shredder. I just
For
think
sure.
he just has like one mode, and it's just like
Chill.
just
All the
doing his
way.
gangster stuff. Yeah, so nothing against him. I just like when I'm in front of him and I get hit like early in practice, I'm like, damn it, bro.
Of course, it's got to be in practice. It can't be like in an actual battle where
Right.
it counts.
Literally.
Well, that was one of
Yeah.
the things that I've talked to a lot of drivers that have jumped up from pro spec to pro, and they tell me, they're like, yeah, every event the car gets hit, pretty much, by someone, or you hit someone. Like there's not really an event that you get by where you just are clean unless you like didn't drive much, like.
Yeah.
That's how just people drive at that top level, and you were talking about it earlier about having a clean car, and it's like it's so hard to do that in
Yeah.
FD.
It's honestly, I feel like it's not really the driver's fault. I think it's
No,
because the sport is getting to this area where the cars are at their absolute limits, and the tracks and the driving that we have to do we're expected to do so much at such a high level that there's only so much room for error, and a lot of the times, pushing the boundaries just a little bit, you get bumper scraped, or someone checks up on the brakes a little bit entering one zone, and you give them a nudge, or maybe you're going a little bit faster, you bump into them a little bit harder than you wanted to. I just think we're just at such a high caliber that there really is no opportunity to have like super clean like drifting where it's like there's nothing bad happening to a car. Like it's just one of those things, like it's I feel like it's just gonna turn into like a standard,
Right.
like NASCAR. It's like in NASCAR they're rubbing doors every race. It's one of those things. It's everything just becomes a consumable. It's very unfortunate because it's expensive, but I mean, the fans love it. It gets exciting. So at the end of the day, it really comes down to what the fans want to watch, because that's what keeps us in the cars.
Exactly.
Gets the bills paid.
I mean, it's not even just the driving; it's what you guys are putting these cars through and the limits that the cars have. Whether it's steering components, braking, like you see wheels fall off every once in a while just from breaking studs. It's like because you guys are putting so much power down. It's like there's so many limits that get pushed with drifting that you don't get in other motorsports as well. So there's just so much that can go wrong in the sport when you're driving on that far of an edge. It's just inevitable, Another kind of topic.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, sorry, you were a little delayed there, but I got you. Keep going.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Oh no, I was just saying that it's like I feel like it's one of the most abusive motorsports besides like off-road. It's like the next thing. I'd say as far as asphalt racing goes, this is probably the most abusive on the cars that there is. I mean, off-road rally and the desert trucks, like rally, like they're usually clean and fine unless they smack a tree, which is kind of rare. But then you got the Baja guys who are literally doing like 1,000 some odd miles like in these trucks, and those things break because it's just like inevitable.
Well,
bouncing off of every bump.
I thought
miles an hour.
Right. Well, we talked to Robert Thorne last weekend, and we're like, okay, so what chassis lasts longer, road race car or a drift car? And he's like, well, my drift car lasted me 3 years, and that's 1 year of pro. And he said my BMW M3 that I drive has been a race car since 1997. So
that was crazy.
I know. I'm like, oh, okay, I get it.
And someone needs to make T-shirts that says "drifting is a contact sport."
It is. That's a fantastic merch idea.
There you go.
I'm gonna make it. No one steal it.
Do it. Learn it.
So, your car is obviously beautiful. It's a true S15, correct?
Yeah.
Yeah. So, is that the perfect drifting chassis in your opinion? The S15, is that the pinnacle, or is there something else?
No, I would say that's pretty much it. Like it's probably I mean, I've only drifted so many other cars. The closest thing I'd say that I've driven that made it feel close to an S chassis is probably a C6 Corvette. I think that's a really impressive chassis, but I think for drifting, like if you're a beginner, the fact is you can go from being a complete beginner to a top tier professional in the same chassis. So if you have an S14, you could build a like regular run-of-the-mill like grassroots car and have the time of your life. You can learn everything you need to learn about drifting all the way up until being a top tier pro. And James Dean won 3 consecutive championships in an S15. So it's like I think it's very superior because it has the capability to do pretty much everything. There's definitely chassis out there that perform really well for drifting, like the BMW chassis. I think they're really impressive. But if you're using them for like the geometry, how they have so much good grip in them, if you're using it as a grassroots guy, that might hurt you. You might have too much grip, and it might be difficult to learn that right away. But an S chassis, you can go from having the simplest, like easiest to drive setup to having a full pro competition level grip setup. So it's just, I think it's superior for sure.
Yeah, makes sense.
Heck yeah. And
definitely my favorite.
Yeah, and obviously you have God's engine in there, the 2JZ, of course.
I mean, people would argue SR20, but
do you think an SR20 could even be competitive in pro FD?
if you had a budget about like $1 million, $1.5 million, and you had like 4 of them in your trailer,
I was
yeah,
gonna say at least
probably.
like 6 sitting in the trailer.
Yeah, because I mean,
how many did
look at,
Papadakis go through with the Corolla?
I mean, they'll never tell you, but
Yeah.
it's like definitely been a couple.
Yeah.
But the thing is, like, they could change the engine in 45 minutes. So it's like,
It's true.
hey man, if you got the budget and you have the know-how to make it work, it's like you could probably make it work. But
I mean,
the same time, it's like why put yourself through all that when there's motors that don't need that much work? It's like if you're a diehard SR20 enthusiast and you need this to happen, I'm sure you can make it happen, but just like it's like otherwise it's a waste of time.
Well,
Yeah.
it kind of brings me to another question I've always had, and you might not necessarily have the answer, but like a lot of these guys come from overseas and they bring these exotic cars that look very difficult to drive with exotic engines, like Darren Kelly with the Aston Martin, or you got Federico with the Ferrari, and it's just like I've always wanted to see them drive like a BMW or an S chassis just to see what they would actually be like in a more competitive car, in my opinion. You know.
Yeah, for I think Federico is like he's always been in like a wacky chassis, like a cool thing. He used to do like Team Orange stuff where he's driving like Evos and Subarus. So it's just like he might just be used to driving whatever he can,
right?
You know. But that's like some people, like I have my style, like they have their style, like that just could be his flair. Like he just wants to bring these cars that are exotic over and drift them. I feel like Darren, I think he was in that car because that was the car that was like offered for doing it. Right. I think maybe he would choose like an R35 because I know he did really well with that in New Zealand. But you know, I'm sure sometimes these drivers might wish that they're in a more like
easy to
usual chassis.
Yeah.
So
it just makes me wonder. It's like, okay, so what if Barry On came over in like an S chassis? Like, what would he drive like? You know, it's always made me wonder. Like, okay, because like you get guys like that where like the car is what kills them most of the time. Like that's what fails, and it's like you don't really know how good of a driver they actually are half the time, and it's a frustration of mine.
Hey, we'll see how he does in Prospect.
Oh yeah, that's right. It looks like he's trying to. I mean, I appreciate the fact that he's like, hey, can't make it a whole year, so I'll go run Prospect, and it's like.
Also, you know, maybe he's gonna look better out there.
Yeah, well, I mean, for me, it's always his car, man. It's like I've seen that dude drive very angrily with a very broken car and make it around and look okay, but it's like I don't know if that car's ever been 100%. Malik in the chat asks, is there a new chassis that has piqued your interest that you've kind of seen out there?
I mean, I really did enjoy the C6 Corvette, and I did consider like building another car and going that route. But also the newer Toyota variety, like the 86. My girlfriend has one. I've been driving it around a bunch, and it's really enjoyable to drive, and it feels really well balanced. And also, there's some people that are driving them that they seem very competitive with. So that's kind of, I would think maybe possibly going towards, you know, a newer Toyota. Personally, if I was going to build another car, it would definitely be in something that's newer. That appeals to people in, you know, the industry. They like to see new cars that are being driven because they have products that they make for them that are popular and they want to see it pushed. So it would be awesome to be in like an S chassis forever. But like one thing is like they're not going to be like favorited by people forever, and also there's not going to be parts for these things forever. Like I can't tell you how hard it is just to get a subframe for one of these cars. You know, every time I've went through one, it's been pretty difficult. Well, that's to source parts.
Right. Well, that's a question. I think. Do you think FD will ever make exceptions for stuff like that, to where like, or is someone going to start making just spare subframes, you know, that aren't Nissan? Like how do you start to? Because that is going to be a problem eventually, or maybe just everyone drives new cars. I don't know, or newer.
Exactly. Cars. So it's going to come down to what FD wants to do about it. If the it comes down to the decision between the drivers and FD. So I've been in drivers meetings where it has been a conversation where they're like, hey, like, why don't you let us build tubular subframes or let us build whatever suspension we want for these cars so we can make them all compete the same. And I think the main thing is they're just trying to maintain that like stock car aspect where it's
Right.
like, you know, you have a car that's built for the street, you turn it into a drift car. And I think it's a really cool aspect, but there will come a time if everyone stays in these older chassis that there will need to be exceptions, and you do see exceptions come in once in a while. We've had provisions for the subframes that were approved to make them stronger so they don't break as often.
Right.
So I think we're just not there yet where it needs to happen. But I think if FD sees that it needs to happen, they usually go in the right direction to be able to allow certain things. So it's just going to come down to case in point in time when that those decisions have to be made. So I wouldn't say that it's not going to happen, but I just don't know when.
Right, exactly. We also had another question from Phil, and he asked, do you have any mental exercises when you go compete, or do you do anything mentally to try to get prepared for driving or competition even?
I'd say the only thing that I really do is just kind of take a step back and just appreciate where I am and what I'm doing. Because at the end of the day, no matter all the things that you want in life and the things that you think you need, like you'll always have more than someone else that wishes they had it. And, you know, I just want to like take a step back and appreciate what I have and have the people that are surrounded by me, like surrounding me. And that helps a lot because it's like when I feel excited and feel happy to be there, it makes everything so much better. So just being appreciative, just working and talking all my thoughts out, that helps a lot. And when I first started competing, I did have kind of like an anxiety thing where I did this like breath work in the car to help just like focus. So instead of like worrying, I just changed my mood to become laser focused on something. So there was really nothing else to think about. And that was just some breathing work. But as time went on, the anxiety really kind of went away. It was just kind of like the idea of like cameras and people watching you. That's really all it was in the beginning, like in my prospect days.
100%.
Yeah.
Understandable for
Who
sure.
was it that said that they black out at the line? Was that Stookie or was that Dimitri?
I think it was Stookie.
Stookie,
For sure it was
yeah.
Stookie. He's like,
Yeah.
nothing's in my brain. I'm like, that's just okay.
Yeah,
My-
like once he
Bring him
pulls
in,
up
I
the
guess.
line, it's
My
just like,
favorite story was so do the line workers, like the launch guys, do they do anything silly for you? Because Stookie said one of the guys draws dicks on little rocks and gives it to him on the start line.
That is the coolest thing ever. I don't know if that'd be Sopa or Max, but
I think
Max
it
and
was
Sopa are
Max.
definitely Max and Sopa are definitely homies of mine. So it's just like they know what I'm out there trying to do, and they just kind of give me some funny shit where they're just like either like dance around really quick or like Sopa will do this thing sometimes where he looks hella serious, and like I think I got the win or something like from this bracket, and he looks all serious like he's about to make a decision, and he like looks over me and he like starts nodding his head, and I was like, oh hell yeah. So he's just like, and it was like back in qualifying, you'd always see Sopa like just like as I'm driving up, he's like clapping under the bridge, let's go.
Yeah.
And then that would always hype me up before I run. And same thing with Max. Max one time they actually gave me like a blue painter's tape note that just said "Let your heart sing," and he just reached in, stuck it on my dash. Like didn't even give it to me. He gave me no choice, just stuck it to my dash, and that stayed there forever until like I had to clean my dash, so I took it off. I stuck it in the toolbox so it didn't get ruined.
Does that help you a lot? Does that like get you out of your own head and get you like loosened up a little bit?
Yeah, for the most part, like when I'm in the car, like about to go, I'm not like too crazy in my head. Honestly, I wish I was a little bit more in my head to like focus on what the hell I'm doing. Because I feel like for me, I do everything basically off like emotion. Like I feel like I'm a very emotional person, a very emotional driver.
Yeah.
So having them being like, hell yeah, like get it, or like say some like corny shit that's just
Yeah.
like heartfelt. Like, oh dude, like we're about to go shred right now.
Yeah.
So yeah, it definitely helps. It definitely pumps me up. Like because those at the end of the day, that's like I want to do good driving because I want people to be like stoked on it along
Right.
with me, you know. So if
Yeah.
I wasn't doing exciting driving, like I would probably just quit. Like if
Drifting
my
from-
driving was boring, I would just be like, whatever, dude, this sucks.
Right.
Yeah, I'll never forget. It was at Irwindale. I think probably the one that you won. I think back in your prospect season where you were just banging limiter like crazy on the bank, and like I think that like they said something over the intercom. It's like the judges probably won't like that, but that was good. It was like, yeah, dude, that was sick as shit, dude.
Yeah,
Like,
so that
yeah.
was
I forget.
I think
what,
that was my second year. I think that was our second year of pro spec at Irwindale, and the car, like, it just felt like we didn't have like the right setup in it, and I was just
think that was
battling.
an angry run, and
Yeah, I was just
made
like
that one
battling
work.
it. Yeah, and what I did was I was just like I was talking to my spotter Scott, and he was just like he's like, I know you don't have the runs that you want, and like I know you didn't get the practice you want, but just go out there and just drive like it's like a maniac. He's like, just put
Right.
your foot down. I was just like, copy that, and then just literally went out there and just mashed the throttle. I hit every single wall. That whole entire lap was me trying to not go in the wall, just like fighting the steering wheel, like turning it away from the wall, just laying on the limiter. Because they always say, like, if you think you're going to go in the wall, smash the gas, because the only way you're going to drive out of it. So that was me just like half shitting my pants, half just driving off the wall.
Yeah.
So that was a really funny lap. And Scott was like, dude, if this was the old FD, that would have been 100-point run, because everyone was at the edge of their seat, like thinking you're going to die the whole time.
Yeah, that was. I think about that run a lot, dude. That was a very cool one. Definitely.
Yeah, it was.
Do you have a
It was
favorite?
definitely funny.
Do you have a favorite battle that you have had in FD, or a favorite just like the fondest memory of FD so far?
I would say my fondest memory is definitely winning Irwindale my rookie season as a pro spec driver.
Yeah.
But I would say my favorite battle, I'd have to say my favorite battle is still a pro spec round with Micah Diaz at St. Louis. We won that weekend, so it was really awesome. But me and Micah did a battle, then a one more time battle, and both times we were just driving into each other the whole time. Excuse me. And then just after, we were just like homies about it and just shaking hands and like looking at the cars and like all the scuff marks. And I was just like, damn, drifting's so cool.
That is so awesome. It's like one of the best parts of it. No other sport you can do that. That's like why I love it.
And he was driving those big giant wheels on that car too, or was it at that time? I can't remember.
I remember off
the
top of my head.
He had the big chrome Johnnies on there at one point.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, that was, I remember that battle. That was fun. Do you, Anton asked, do you have a victory song?
A victory song? No, not really.
Do you listen to music in the car at all, or like before or after you get in the car?
You turn your radio on in the car?
I used to.
Do you have a radio?
There was one time that someone held up like a phone to one of the racing radios, and like I heard music come over it, and it just sounded like shit, and I was like, shut it off. But there's sometimes where like I really got to get like into the zone, so I'll like listen to music when I suit up or like strap up, and I'm just like, all right, cool. But then also like there's been times where I like listen to like really like aggressive like heavy metal, and then I go out there and I feel like I just push a little bit too hard, and that's like one of those moments where like Seattle, where I just drive through Chelsea to Nova and like outer zone 3,
Right.
and it's just like one of those moments where it's like, okay, so I can successfully make myself drive angry, but I don't think that's the answer unless I learn how to do it strategically and like know when to be that angry.
Exactly.
So yeah, it's like there'll be music in the pits, and like Shane, one of the guys on the crew, he'll bump some tunes, and like we'll get suited up, and like if we're vibing as a team, that's pretty awesome. But for the most part, I don't just like jam on my own and like just go somewhere and just listen to music. So I'll usually just be like shooting the shit before I get in the car.
Right. All right.
Yeah.
You're always wandering around. Chatting
Yeah,
it up.
sometimes.
Yeah.
Yeah. I actually like told myself to stop doing that. It's like I was like, I need to focus more. It's just like I do love the people at the tracks. I rarely get to see everybody, so whenever I get a chance, I like to like roll around and say hi to everyone.
Yeah.
But yeah, there's like a time where I'm like, no, I'm gonna spend more time with the crew and like learn more because I
Right.
think that's very important.
Phil brings up a really interesting just thought, and it's that have you ever thought of like trying to make the car as light as possible and then running a smaller tire as a
So I
result
think
of that?
he's probably talking about like what Odie's doing right now. Yeah, I mean, it'd be cool, but you have to work with what you're given and the
Yeah.
tire that is available to you. So with the tire that we were on the Nexon, we actually had to make the car heavier this past season, and that
Really?
wasn't easy. Yeah. So we had to add more weight. We even put a fire extinguisher in there too. So,
Jeez.
but yeah, it would be cool to get in a lightweight car with like a smaller tire. That's like what Stuckey does, and they say it works.
Right.
But yeah, I haven't really had the opportunity to try it. I'd be very interested to try it. It would be less stress on the car.
Yeah. I mean,
Good
that's what they
point.
were saying. Just how much weight they saved alone in just driving to events. It was bananas.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it's a crazy thought that they brought up.
It's like 800 pounds
Phil.
or something, like lighter.
Oh,
That's-
that's
Yeah,
oh,
all the
that
tire
makes
changes.
sense.
Yeah,
Yeah.
this is wild.
Wow.
It's just
Yeah, that's
like-
crazy. Less blowouts on the trailer.
Yeah, for sure. Go a little bit faster now.
Phil wants to know if you have a favorite fan moment or like a favorite ride along moment.
Favorite fan moment, definitely have that. That's when I met London in my second year of pro spec at St. Louis. The cutest little girl came up to the pit. She wanted an autograph, and I gave her one. And then she came back, like scurried over like 2 minutes later and handed me a piece of paper with her name like scribbled on it with a smiley face. And she was like, she's like, this is my autograph because I'm gonna be a race car driver like you one day.
Oh,
And like,
that's sweet.
and then I went to go put it with like the stuff that I collect from like fans in my trailer. And Scott like grabbed me. He's like, no, that's a good luck charm. Like you tape that to your dash right now. And I did. And then we won that day. So I was like, this is awesome.
That is so sick.
Yeah, she's been an awesome, best little friend. Every time we go to St. Louis, they're usually there. They like to travel to Utah sometimes to come watch.
Cool.
So London
yeah.
and their family, they're awesome.
That's
That's
so
so
awesome. I
cool.
love that.
Yeah.
But yeah, so Malik also asks, do you have, or which driver or drivers influenced your driving style the most? Is there anyone that you've
I
like
really
learned
don't-
from on like techniques or?
No, I mean, for the most part, I was like taught how to drive through Club Loose, and
Okay,
then
yeah.
I basically learned like on my own when I decided to do the pro-am stuff and start competing, and just kind of get tips and tricks from drivers along the way. And as far as style, it's I haven't really like gotten it from anybody. It's just I just pulled together what I thought would
Right.
be, my own style, and just it's not even I didn't even try to decide on a style. I just did the type of driving that I like to do. It's
Right.
just being aggressive and like making it fun and nasty.
Nice.
Good.
Malik also asked, do you feel like FD is going to shift towards team-oriented programs similar to F1 in the near future, or do you think it would be beneficial for the sport to take it that way, I guess?
I mean, shit, I hope so. That'd be awesome. I mean, it'd be so much easier if I could just just show up, hop in a car and drive, but
Yeah.
it also
Well-
comes with a big dollar amount.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, like, I think he's talking more just in general, like, just having like teams in FD, kind of like, just you come in.
Yeah, I think it was Dimitri that brought it up. So
Yeah.
like
Like,
you
no
would just,
privateers.
say like you paired up with like Alex or whatever.
Oh,
You know,
I mean,
like, now you guys like are also competing for single points championship, like single person championship, but then having a team bracket as well. That's just almost like a bragging rights. Like Dimitri said it as like a bragging rights type, like just you get a trophy for the team that won a championship.
Gotcha. So personally, like I think that won't happen unless there is an actual reward to do it. Like if FD was like, we have a team championship, even though they have like a manufacturer championship and tire championship, like have a dedicated like team championship. I don't think that would ever happen because personally, in my opinion, like why would I put up with learning to like work with another program and like change the way I do things just to hopefully have bragging rights at the end of the year.
Right.
Like, you know, like that's a lot of work. Like running one program for yourself is super hard. Then to learn how to like some people think like more hands the better to like help. It's actually the opposite. It's because you have to manage all those people and you have to be able to sync and work together properly. So like you see plenty of teams in the past where it was drivers that were teamed up together, hauling around together. And then years later, you hear them all like shit talking, like, no, that sucked. I hated doing that. Like this guy brought all this stuff. This guy brought all that stuff. And like these guys never clicked. And it's like, dude, so much drama. It's like, no, I'd rather just bring me and my team.
Yeah, the chemistry might be off, like higher chances of just not getting along and shit.
Yeah, but if it was like, let's say, like you have like an RTR or Steph Papadakis, like Papadakis Racing, where it's like you have a factory-funded team who selects all the people that work for the team, dedicates their time to how the cars work, how to build them, and how to get everything, all the logistics done, and then you have your drivers, and the drivers get to focus on just solely driving. I think that is way more beneficial for a driver, and I think that system works very well. So I think if it was all teamed up with heavily sponsored teams where they're like these factory teams and they're just looking for drivers and drivers get to go in and drive, I think that'd be amazing. But I think drivers going hand in hand together and trying to make a program, it's like, yeah, I'm sure it could work, but you're gonna have to put a lot of work into it because you don't get to just focus on the driving. You have to focus on running a team together, and that's a lot of work.
For sure.
Interesting.
If you could join any existing team, do you have a preference for which one you'd want to be a part of?
I mean, Papadakis, they do really, really well. Jerry Yang's team is really good. I mean, RTR is obviously awesome. I just see the car as like a handful to drive from. Like, I did try out a Mustang, not one of them. It's like previously in the past, just to see how it is, and it was really a handful to drive. So mad respect to all the RTR guys for driving those things. But yeah, I would probably. I mean, they're all killer teams. I would drive for one of them. I think I really do like the Toyotas, and I like the imports.
Yeah, I feel like you'd be an Odie guy with S15s.
I mean, yeah. I mean, but also at the same time, he doesn't seem like he wants to go the route of being a team owner, like other than himself.
Oh, right. Yeah, yeah. No,
sure.
yeah.
Like, yeah, so it's like
no, I'm not saying that. It's like this is just like theoreticals, like of the teams that have been out there. You know, it's like
it'd be freaking awesome.
Yeah, like one of those cars, like. It was actually one of the most eye-opening things for me was watching Simon Olsen come in with the Supra and then watching him jump into one of Odie's cars and just seeing the complete opposite of a driver.
Yeah.
Overnight. Literally overnight. Yeah. You know.
Well, that goes to your point of changing chassis to something that might be a little bit easier and seeing a different driver.
Also goes to the S chassis being a superior chassis.
Yeah. Honestly, I think this is the first time we've heard somebody stand the S chassis this hard. Obviously, I love that. We get a lot of S chassis shit here.
Yeah. It's true. I mean, well, it's interesting because the Supra, I mean, Osbo's made it work. I've heard it's not easy to make that chassis work. And you got guys like Peter Visick trying to make it work, but it's definitely a car that I think needs more R&D before it's going to be more commonplace to even be competitive. But I don't know. Maybe people have figured out things in the recent years. I don't know. Like I said.
Yeah, I think it all comes with development. And for the sake of Osbo, he's basically one of the greatest drivers there is. And you have Papadakis behind him. building the car and making it work. So that's a jump to that's like a
Right.
huge gap between anyone else that wants to get in that car and drive it. But luckily, like if any of the stuff trickles out from them, like how they set up the car, put some time into the development, if they ever feel like sharing that in the future,
Right.
then it's like I feel like you can make any car work. It's like you just need to have the time to develop it properly, and that goes back on having a great foundation for a team.
Right.
Yeah, I mean the S chassis is 20 something years old, so it's like
Yeah, and you
ultimately,
have
yeah,
everyone telling you how to set it up.
exactly.
Yeah.
The Supra's really like the new ones. Really, only what 4 years did it
Right.
like actually come out for like people to buy,
And they aren't
then,
cheap.
yeah,
They're
so
not,
it's
and
like,
it's not like you're keeping the factory engine in there either.
and
Nope.
they just came
Word.
out with an actual stick shift
Yo,
version like a year and
I
a half or two ago or something.
is there any chance that I could run to the bathroom really quick before I piss
Dude,
myself?
send it,
Get
bro.
outta here.
Send it. This is a hangout. This is very informal.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
Don't worry. Now we can talk shit about them. It's great.
Yeah.
yeah. How's it going in the chat, everybody?
Yeah.
Everyone's cooling, getting ready for the holiday.
Yeah. Well, we should. I think one of the streams coming up, we'll have to do like 5 holiday gifts. Probably have to do that pretty soon here. But you would get a car person. We all have to come with like 5 Amazon links. To kind of, or even have some more fun. We'll go find things on Temu.
Are you talking about like a secret Santa?
No, just like general. You got to send me 5 links, and then we'll talk about it in the episode.
Oh, okay. So like suggestions on what to buy your car
Yeah.
person.
Yeah.
That'll just be what I buy myself.
Exactly.
I'm just gonna go down the accessory aisle in AutoZone.
And guys, I don't know if you know this, my birthday is December 27th, so
Yep, size type R Raptor.
I really would like a 2024 Raptor R, under the tree, I think.
Under the tree, yeah, obviously.
That's a big tree. Or you're getting.
Phil said you were ripping this weekend. Is that true, or is that
yeah,
fake news?
Well, I always do better every time I come out, regardless of whether or not it's up to my standards.
Yeah.
So, but I do this thing where I get like regression. So I'll go out there, I'll drive all right, and then I'll start messing up. This time it was like the event was kind of cold. I'm driving on a bent subframe, so I normally run, and we can ask Mike about this. I normally run like 7 degrees of caster, which I know all you BMW boys can have feelings. That's normal for an S chassis. And this time I could only get 5 because my subframe, again, Mike could probably back me up on this too. Subframe's bent, can't get a new subframe. So I was like, too much grip in the rear, pushing on entry every time. And I was getting so frustrated. And then I was like, you know what? F this, F that. And I just was like driving angry, which again, I was literally been talking about you this whole time. You could probably back me up on that too. All of a sudden it starts working better because my car is kind of wild and you just beat it a little bit more. And then you kind of beat it into submission. Did bank for the first time, did tree turn for the first time. So yeah, it was a good event. I was telling them that how hard it is to find a subframe. So I'm currently driving on a bent subframe, so I can only get 5 degrees of caster.
Oh,
and I normally run 7. I don't know what you run in your pro car.
Well, yeah, we definitely run less than that because the Wise Fab. But for like a cut knuckle or like a previous setup in my coupe, definitely 7 is like the money spot
for sure.
But yeah, there's like a big. I feel like the main thing is like driving angry. It's like different than driving aggressive. I encourage driving aggressive. It's like there's going to be a lot of good things to happen from that because that's you're pushing yourself and you're pushing the car and you're finding the limits. But then me driving angry is me driving past all of that and not paying attention to what the hell is happening and just doing single inputs and just hoping for the best. So it's like, I think driving aggressive and making it look angry is awesome. I think that's like one of the best ways to drive. But I think physically driving angry is like not great. It's fun once in a while if it works, but when it doesn't work, you'd be like, man, I really wish I wasn't angry.
No, I probably would have done that.
I think you summed it up pretty darn good. It was just like frustration that I wasn't driving like to what I expected myself to do, and then I just decided to drive a little harder, like and it was
Yeah,
literally
just push
exactly
it past its limits. Yeah.
yeah.
Hell
Yeah.
yeah.
But
That's
But
awesome.
yeah, it was cool.
but
Phil
did-
shreds as always. I still
Yeah.
got to see him drive from grid.
Yeah, but did the
Hell
car
yeah.
come back in one piece? Is the real question.
Hilarious! Can't believe it. Yes, literally drove it on the trailer. I don't barely.
So
I ripped both my bumpers off. Like one time, I got all stoked on the bank and like tossed it in a tree turn way too hard, and ended up just like dipping down into the dirt, going into backtrack, and just the bumper left the chat. But we going.
nice.
There you go.
Hell yeah.
Nice work.
No.
Nothing better than tree turn.
Dude, I was a tree turn newbie this weekend,
All
and
right,
I
Mike.
get the
Dude.
hype.
You gotta give me is that
Dude.
the greatest track of drifting, at least in America? You think?
Oh yeah, I think it's the greatest track for drifting. Period.
Yeah.
I think it's the greatest thing ever created for drifting. I mean, it's
You
the
can
only
do
reason
everything.
why I am a driver. Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's like you can literally go from there to like the thing is the main thing is like Club Loose is not there to breed like professional drivers. They don't care. They don't
Yeah.
they're like if you show up and you're like, "Oh, I just want to learn how to be a pro." They're going to be like, "Shut the hell up." And
Yeah,
like
they're gonna
right.
call you a nerd.
yeah, you're a nerd. Go back into the pits and like go think about the decisions you're making.
Yeah.
And so the thing is, they're not stoked on it, but they do have a respect for it. And like I've always loved Club Loose, and like I spent so much time there and like made so many friends there. You could literally learn how to drive better than probably most pro spec guys just by going to Club Loose and learning how to drive as a grassroots driver. Like there is so much skill that's like in the soil there. It's like you just breathe different air there. It's like you just learn by just looking what's around you. Like you don't even have to ask questions. And then when you do ask questions, everyone there wants to help you and help you be a successful driver for the driving they're trying to do there, which is have fun and party with your boys, you know?
Yeah.
So it's just like it's such an amazing place. I think it's literally if you want to get into drifting and you have the opportunity to go to Club Loose, it's like you'd be a freaking idiot not to. Like I remember people when I was going to Club Loose, they're like, "Oh, we don't do Club Loose. We're Lock City only." I'm like, "Bro, you're dumb." Like
Yeah.
go ahead, drive Lock City. That's fine. Like go drive as much as you can, but come to Club Loose. Like
Yeah.
they're yelling they're not yelling at you because they hate you. They're yelling at you because you're dumb. And you
It's a
act like you know
standard.
what you're talking about. It's like,
Yeah.
dude, it's like, no, it's like forget everything you know and just come and have fun and you'll learn everything along the way. So it's
Mhm.
just like I think they do have a certain approach to that, which is easily some people are turned off by. But at the same time, it's like once you get comfortable with like people shit talking you like right to your face and telling you that you suck, you're like, okay, like if I suck, then what do I do to get better? And they're like, you suck, but here's how you can get better. So
Yeah.
it's like
They don't
They-
coddle. They don't
yeah,
care about your
literally
feelings. They don't hold your
at
hand.
all.
It's
No.
just here's what we expect of you. We don't care until you do this thing. You're not getting bumped up. Oh, I'm sorry. You compete in pro-am until you show us your A group. You're not A group at Club Loose.
Yeah.
Yeah, literally.
They can take
So
one lap, but like still just
Yeah.
go do it. Yeah.
yeah, like if you're hot shit and you go there and you just expect to be treated like hot shit, like no,
Just go do it.
you're not gonna get that. You're gonna have to do a lap and then
Yeah.
like they'll see that you actually like are good and then you can go drive.
Do you
Or-
But-
remember any of the mean things that they've said, like to you?
Oh, dude. All right. So first
Especially 'cause you
time
have a pretty car too.
yeah, literally. So you guys know JP, obviously, right?
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah. So first time I ever went to Club Loose, this was like a Friday night drift party. It was like half raining. This is the first. I built my car over the course of like 2 years in my garage, and then this was the first time I was ever drifting and first time ever like driving my car. And like I'm trying to drive, I'm getting input from like Mark D'Amelia and like I think Theo was out there, and they're like helping me, like kind of giving me the ropes, and JP was there. And he was giving me some instruction. They were being really chill, like super cool about it. And they're like, "Oh, cool." And they're like, "This car is like really nice, almost like way too nice. Like, why would you build this car?" So like, there were subtle hints and like some subtle shit talk where I was like, okay. But like, I kind of already knew this through my friends and like other people that I was friendly with in Club
Yeah.
Loose, that I already kind of knew how things went, so I was expecting it. But JP like hopped in my car And he's like, let me take it for a lap and you can come with me. And I think I stayed out of the car. I was like, no, I don't want to go with you. Like, you just take the car and go do a lap, like on backtrack.
Yeah.
And he takes my car. He goes to do a lap on backtrack, and he's like, gets out of the car, and he's like, yeah, you built a cool car, but this thing drives like a piece of shit. And then like just like gives like just like gets out of the car, and he's like, this thing sucks. And he's like, you'll never be a good driver in this. And I was like, what do you mean? I just spent 2 years building this car and like and putting all the things that I thought were smart in it, and like you're telling me it's a piece of shit. But he was like, all right, but he's like, what's your alignment set up? And he's like, also like, what's up with this stupid dump tube that you have where like all the exhaust pressure is coming out? And he's like, you need to get rid of that, and you need to go get an alignment. He's like, this is, and then come back, and then we'll see how it is. And then I did those. I came back, and the car was completely different. I linked the whole track, and then I'm pretty sure it was my second event. I went into B group.
Wow.
So
Nice.
like the car was just set up, and then Seb hopped in the car with me, and he was like, hey, let's go for a lap around front track and show me how you're doing, and I'll help you out. And like I did a whole lap, and he didn't say anything while doing the lap. And I was like, oh man, like, do I suck that bad? Like, why is he like telling me what to do while I'm driving? And he was just like, do that same exact lap right now, like do it again, and I'll put a B on your car right now. I was like, okay. And then I did it, and then I was in B group, and I was like, hell yeah, this is freaking awesome. I love Club Boost. Like, yeah. Just completely became such a big fan. And like it's also like all my friends and like so many people that I love are there. So it's just like it's home for me. And there's so many times where like I feel like such an idiot for being out here on the West Coast, but like there's so much more like things, reasons why I'm out here than just being able to drive a Club Loose. But I'm hopefully gonna try and make a lot of time for myself out there next year and drive with my boys because I miss them all.
I'm sure they're gonna welcome you back with open arms, man. I'm sure
yeah,
they missed
like, hey, welcome back, you idiot.
Yeah. So what's funny is JP did like almost a similar thing to my car. He got in it, like tossed it, and I'm more of like, I've probably learned from the wrong people. So instead of like flicking my car in, I'm more of like a bring a bunch of speed, e-brake in kind of driver, but whatever. And he goes in. Yeah, and so he like flicks into that first corner on backtrack.
Oh God!
Explodes the power steering line. It goes all over. Like we thought it was a fire for a hot second, so I didn't even like let him do anything. I'm reaching over, like shutting stuff off and just getting out of the car. And once we realized it was not on fire, we're standing outside the car, and he's like, "This thing really is a piece of shit, isn't it?" And I was like, "I don't know, I guess." And I mean, it was just like a faulty line that I got from some company that I won't name that was more of like a swap line, and I got like the proper hydraulic shop line. It's been great ever since. But yeah, almost exactly the same story.
That's pretty good.
It's so funny because it's like they're so respectful to you by being disrespectful to your face. It's like out here, that's what you deal with on the West Coast, is people all want to think like they make you think that they love you and stuff, but really they're like talking behind your back. And then the East Coast is like, if someone has an issue with you, they're gonna tell you right away, right to your face, and then you'll be able to figure out right there, right in like real time, like, okay, like, do we have a problem or do we not have a problem? And for the most part, it's just like, it's like, okay, bro, and then you just go back to like being friends. It's like, dude, this place is so crazy.
So I always describe it, because I lived out west for a little bit too. I always describe it as like West Coast is more like, oh yeah, I love you, haha, and then you walk away and they're like, I hate that person. And then on the East Coast, it's like, F you, buddy, and you walk away and they're like, I love that guy.
Yeah, literally. That literally is it. Yeah. And it's funny because like that's kind of like my humor towards like my friends that I love so much, is like being hard on them and like making fun of them and just being like a dick. And then like I'm just like, sometimes I have to remind these people, it's like, yo, I only joke like this because I love you. Like that's nothing. Like don't actually get upset. like you could say it back to me. It's fine.
Yeah, right.
It's just the culture, I guess, but
I don't know. It's some about it. It's like, it's really enjoyable. It's I don't know. It's not for everybody though. So.
Certainly not. Yeah.
No. It's what
not
makes
for the weak.
A little bit stronger too, you know.
Oh yeah, it'll definitely put some lead in your pencil for sure.
Hey. Get quick, get him the couch.
Yeah, right.
There you go.
We got a couple more questions from the chat here, so I'll start hitting a couple of them. Malik, have you received any cool gifts from a sponsor or anything? It's kind of an interesting random question.
I think just a sponsor or a partner wanting to partner with us is a gift on its own. It's like that's something I'm so grateful for. I've a bunch of partners that we work with, and I'm so grateful to have the relationship. So it's just being able to have the opportunity to work together and have them support me in what I'm out here trying to do. I think that's the greatest gift of all. So I'm not just like, oh, where's my swag package, or like where's like some one-off part that's only made for me. You know, it's like I don't really care for that stuff. I mean, yeah, it'd be sick if someone gave me a gift, but like it's already a gift having people to work with. So yeah, that's all I've gotten so far.
If you could have any sponsor on board, like does not have to be automotive, it could be like Cheerios. Who is your like top tier?
Liquid Death.
Heck
sure.
yeah, I love that.
Yeah.
And that is totally your brand too, by the way. Liquid Death, if you're listening to this, get your boy.
Yeah,
dude, quit messing around.
The vibes are very similar.
It's true.
And their logo would fit right on your door, dude.
Yep, literally. Like if we just took one of their cans and just put it on the car, it would just be easiest livery ever done. It'd be so sick. And it's water, so it's like I don't have to fake the funk like I enjoy drinking some crappy freaking energy drink that makes me feel like ass. Yeah, all these dudes say, industry secret, everybody, the cans are filled with water.
Yeah,
it's true. It's true. NHRA was one of the first things I did in the industry when I was like 16 or 17, and all the cans we would have to like sip all day, water.
Yeah. I mean, I'm not gonna say names or anything because I'm not gonna put anyone out. But there is a energy drink company that is with a energy drink driver, and they were being interviewed, and they took a sip from the can, and the can wasn't open, and it was really funny to just see that they like took a sip and like put it down, and you just see on the top that the can's not open. I'm like, that is a dedicated representative for the brand.
Right.
Hell yeah. Like that is something getting signed off on the contract. Like hell yeah. Like you better be drinking it, or
we want to see 82 sips a year, brother, or you're
hell
gone.
Yeah. Couple big gulps, buddy.
Yeah. So
it's like I saw like a Logan Paul thing, like he was like drinking like Prime and the cup was empty, and you like see him, it looks like he's chugging it, but there's like nothing in it to start with, and it's pretty funny.
Yeah,
it's just like anything for the brand, man. But sometimes you gotta do crazy stuff to like make it work, you know?
Yeah,
you gotta get the logos out there, man. You gotta represent the people that represent you and help you out.
100%.
So hey man, if someone wants to be a drink sponsor and get on my door of my car, I will sip an empty can or a closed can. I don't care.
I think Mr. Power would just straight up love a Liquid Death. I think you would for real drink that.
Oh no, I would, yeah, because I do drink them. But
would you chug one of the carbonated ones?
Oh yeah, I've done it. It's spicy. It's risky, but yeah, I would do it for sure. I mean, I do love a good Diet Coke too, though. That'd be pretty awesome. They're right here supporting this episode.
There you go.
Supporting this.
Bro, when is
they got Santa Claus in the can?
Dude, when is Kevin gonna get a Dr. Pepper sponsorship, dude?
Dude, I don't know, but it would work. It would work for them.
That
for
dude runs on Dr. Pepper, and I don't know how he does it.
Like, yeah, and I keep forgetting that he's such a fan of Dr. Pepper, and like anytime I have a question for him, I feel like I should just give him a case and just be like, I'm gonna ask you a bunch of questions. Here's a whole case of Dr. Pepper. Sip on this when I'm annoying you.
Dude, he literally carries around a case with him half the time. It's like, holy cow.
Yeah, he do be just, I don't understand.
Although, speaking of FD staff, we ask every guest that comes on to give us an Andy Luck story.
Oh, okay.
So
it sounds like you got one.
Yeah.
Of course I do. All right. So Andy Luck is a very particular character within the FD family. Lovely guy, super awesome, very nice. You just have to be trained on the East Coast to understand what shit talking is, because if you don't know what it is, you think Andy Luck hates you from the pit of his very being. But so yeah, me and Andy, I think we have a pretty decent relationship. I think he's a sweetheart of a guy. I think he is a major ball buster, and sometimes the stuff that he says cuts pretty damn deep. He does a pretty good job at getting his shit talking out. So Andy, my second year in Prospect, he became really good friends with Ricky Hoffman, and I think they're still besties to this day. But
They are.
he was like, me and Ricky were hanging out. He was talking to me, and in some way along the lines, Andy like was just like, Mike, like you suck, like you're never gonna win again, whatever, you suck, like I don't want to, like you're gonna do horrible here, and we are. And I looked at him. I was like, you know what, Andy? I said, next time I'm on the podium, you better be looking at me because I'm gonna flip you off right from the top of the podium. He's like, can't wait for the day. So we won St. Louis that year. And I was looking out for Andy Luck, and he wasn't there at the podium ceremony for when I won. So I was like, all right, fine. I'm going to go to Andy. So I like right off the podium with my trophy, like went up the tower at St. Louis, and I like found somebody from FD. I was like, where's Andy Luck? And they're like, oh, he's in this suite, this one. And like, I'm going to curse more on the channel, but I like knocked on the door, opened it, and I was like, hey, Andy. And I hear him. I can't even see where he is. And he's like, what? And I was like, go fuck yourself. And he's like, what? He's like, fuck me. What did I do? And I was like, it's not what you did. It's what I did. And he turns around and I'm holding the trophy. And I'm just flipping him off. And he's just like, ah. Like, so that was like one of my greatest Andy Luck moments ever.
Amazing.
Yeah.
He's a good sport.
Oh, dude, yeah, of course, because he recognizes it. He understands when someone like is on his game. You know, it's like if you shit talk him back, like he's got it like on lock. But he brings the heat, man. So sometimes I don't even try because I know he comes back stronger every time. Because like I'm not. I got my head wrapped up in like a lot of important things. I can't be like fully guns hot ready to go with like a burner every time he comes up to me.
He'll hit you with a person.
If I put one out there, he's gonna hit me good, and he's gonna make sure there's people around to hear it. And that's the worst part. Yeah, he does it. He does it when you're at like autograph signing, when there's like fans around, and you're like, dude. Ripping me. Yeah, you're just like, oh my god. Like every time we're in Jersey, he like sees me, he's like, hey Power, he's like, you happen to be home? And I was like, yeah. He's like, too bad you're gonna suck and you're gonna lose. And I was like, dude, you're such an asshole.
He's like the guy with the nail in his head and Happy Gilmore.
Yeah, for real.
Oh my god,
you suck.
But at the end of the day, he's a sweetheart. I love Andy Luck. I think the sport would be completely different without him because he really does make shit happen, and he has to deal with so much bullshit at the track that, you know, sometimes he has to be angry Andy, and some people don't like him for it, but that's a man getting shit done. So I respect him for it 100%.
He makes everybody think twice. So like we were in Irwindale for the last round, and everyone all of a sudden is like, shorts. We see someone in shorts, and then it was like 2 seconds later, we all have the fear of God in us that we wouldn't even think about showing up in shorts. I don't care how hot it is. So there's
it's
results.
like you knew you're wearing pants, but someone says shorts, and you look down. It's like as if Andy's got me with that before. He's got me with that before. I like it was at St. Louis too, the place where it's so freaking hot that we're like trying not to die. And then like I went to like a driver's meeting, and like I'm like at least 500 feet away, and he yells from the driver's meeting out across to where I am, and he's like, Power, if you think you're gonna get in here, you're out of your mind. Like go back to your trailer and put pants on. And I was like, oh god damn it. I was like, okay. It's like me just not reading the rules and showing up late.
He's a stickler. That's for dang sure.
No, but I love him.
Absolutely, man. I got a couple more questions here, but if you guys have any more questions, especially in the chat, get your questions in soon, just so we can get to the rest of those. But just another question I had was automotive inspiration. Do you have like a guy that's kind of inspired you, or like what made you want to get into driving and automotive stuff?
No, so I like always loved cars and like things that are motorized, like having a childhood with go-karts. You know, I originally thought when I was a kid I was going to be a NASCAR driver one day. But
You got a favorite NASCAR driver?
no, when I was a kid, my dad loved what's his name, Denny Hamlin a lot. So I always thought Denny Hamlin was cool, like growing up, just because I didn't know like shit
Right.
about any other driver. So I was like, my dad likes Denny Hamlin. Denny Hamlin's cool. And then I was like, wait, Dale Earnhardt, he's cool. Yeah. So that's like Dale Earnhardt became cooler as it became older because he's just like a hell yeah brother like icon. So it's
Right.
just like if you don't love Dale, like dude, just like you're better off like just not existing. So, but it's just like honestly, I didn't really have anyone influence me other than my best friend Connor Croak. Herbie definitely knows who he is. They've met it a couple times.
big
Nate, I'm
media
not
man.
sure if you've met Connor, but he's a total sweetheart kid, and like we grew up together in like high school, and like he used to drive me around everywhere because I didn't have a car, and like because I was younger than him too. And what I tell the story all the time. I broke my hand riding bikes, and I was off the bike for a while, and I was just hanging out with Connor, and he was showing me his love for JDM cars and
Yep.
his plans to get a 240 and like his love for drifting. And then I definitely got a little hooked, and I was like, oh, this is pretty cool. And he was like, oh, we're going to go to Club Loose. Like, you should come. I'll take you. I was like, all right, cool. So he brought me to my first ever Club Loose event as a spectator. And then I was like, dude, I'm like, literally from that day, once I got home, I was like dead set. I was like buying a car, building a car. And that's how I got into drifting. So Connor Croak officially ruined my life. But yeah, he was
Of
like
all
my
people.
main he was like my main inspiration for like getting started because he kind of held my hand through like a lot of like the stylish choices and like what's cool in drifting, what's not cool, what's like socially acceptable and not. And like he had really good taste, and he like knew what was exciting and what was sick, and like we just like bonded on so much shit, like, you know, like Fast and Furious, watching Ken Block videos, like this was like the days where like I didn't have YouTube on my phone, so it's like I'd run over to Connor's house and we watch the new Ken Block video together, and we're like, yo, this is crazy. And it was just like we like bonded on so much stuff that we thought was cool that like every time I did stuff that was cool, it was like, Connor, like, is this sick? Like, what do you think? And he also did media for me for a long time, and he was actually like with me through my first year of pro spec. He was my filmer, and like we did a lot of projects together. So it's really funny that we're talking about him because I actually hit him up like a couple weeks ago, because like we don't talk like every day, we don't talk nearly as much as like I wish, and we probably will, but I like hit him up and I sent him some stuff that I was thinking about like doing to my car, and I was like, dude, like it's been so long since I've asked you like what you think about this and like what is cool. And for the most part, he was just like, no, dude, he's like, at this point, like, you know what's cool, he's like, you're killing it and like doing good stuff, but he's like you're right, like it has been a while, and he like appreciates that I care so much about his opinion, like even though like he like isn't a drifter or like doing anything that I'm doing. It's just I love what he showed me along this journey. So he's like the main inspiration for what like got me into it, and then the rest was just what I wanted to do with it once I got the car and learned how to drive.
I just want to know, how much were 240s back then?
I bought mine for $5,500. So mine
What
was
year
like
was this?
this was 2014.
Okay.
So I bought mine with an SR swap. I might have got, you know, mine
No,
was
SR.
yeah, so it was an SR swap, but the car was kind of crashed and the front rad support was all gone. But I like at the time I didn't care about the whole like keep it simple thing. I was just like the only thing that I'm gonna keep simple is the engine and the drivetrain. Everything else I'm doing. I was like I'm tubing it, I'm caging it, because the front was crashed. So I was like, I'm gonna cut all this off.
Yeah.
So we tubed it, we caged it because I want to be safe, and then I put all the rest of the parts on it, like full suspension, every bell and whistle. The only thing I left was the engine and the drivetrain because it was burned in my head. It's like, you don't need power, you don't need power, you don't need power, because that's like from Connor and like all of the boys that I met through him, and then learning from Club Lewis, it's like you don't need any of that. So excuse me, but yeah, that was like the car completely spiraled into like a full crazy ass build, and then when it was done, it was like, okay, I built a car that's too nice to learn how to drift in. But then it actually worked out. It was a beautiful beautiful setup, and it treated me really well up until the point where I wanted to make it crazier for like pro-am driving.
Yeah, that actually goes into one of the questions that was asked was Phil, and he asked what made you drop from pro-am to the pro spec level. Obviously you got your license, but like what was the reasoning to actually make the jump?
Yeah, I think it was just like the fact that I was like, I felt capable as a driver, and it was just like it was a goal that was, it seemed like I could do it. So I was just like, hey, like if I win it, like let's go do it, because I like this whole competing thing. And it seems like a lot of people are out here going to get their pro spec license to go drive pro spec. So it's like, it's like, okay, cool. Like if I win my license, like why not go drive it and like do the competition thing? Because I was pretty serious about pro-am. I did like a full country tour in 2019 to get my license. So I was like, yeah, like once I started doing pro-am, I was just like, all I can do now is just keep pushing and go up. And then it was the same thing for pro. Like once I was in pro spec, like even my first year, I was like, I want my pro license. So
yeah, I mean,
it's just like it's just like, yeah, it's just the want to do more than achieve more. So it's just like, until there's something that isn't greater to achieve, then I'll constantly be pushing to the top.
100%.
Yeah, whatever the peak is, you want to do it.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Man. And it's been one hell of a journey for you, bud. I mean,
oh yeah.
I mean, you've built some incredible car. Like I love your S15. I think it's one of my favorite builds in the pro class, and it's like, I'm hoping, we'll see. Maybe I'm hoping for next year. I'm not gonna lie. I'd love to see you next year, but regardless. Even if
a good
you
moment to let you shout out your social media and your YouTube again, so that people who want to know about what your plans are for next year could follow along. They can follow along your YouTube for that sweet build that you're going to do on that 3DZ. So shout that out one more time so they can follow you.
Exactly.
Oh yeah, for sure. So Mike Power and at Mike Power Drift on YouTube. So that's where anything that we got going on, and I basically like, a real statement coming from me in what we're going to be doing next year will be coming out soon. It's just I've been working through the pile of stuff that I need to do and make decisions and all that. But yeah, I'm hoping that you'll see me at FD next year as well. We'll see what that is. Right. But it's one of those things, like the car, like you said, I love that car to death as my, that's my love. I love that car so much. I've been through so much. And I made a post the other day. Like, I was like, this car isn't a car to me anymore. Like it's like a living being. Like it's just, it's seen so much that it has so many stories that it can tell. And it's, it's been built by the best of the best, like MA Motorsports. They build downright the best cars that, money can buy. You can, if you have the money, you can go to them and have the same exact car that I'm driving today if you want to. So it's just like,
it literally is like
yeah, literally, that's what they do. They just, Brian Wilkerson just wakes up and builds beautiful cars. With his team.
Top tier.
Yeah, and he's got such great guys that work there too, like Kylie, Marco. I'm not sure if he's there still right now or he's getting back into it. Just there's so many great, like, talented people in there and people that have learned from Brian. And the car is just amazing. So it's capable of running another season. It just needs a little bit of love. We built this car with the idea of being able to campaign it for multiple years. Chris Forsberg drove his 370 for 10 years before he got rid of it. So it's one of those things where that was the idea of what I wanted to do. Unfortunately, I crashed it probably harder than Chris Forsberg crashes 370, but the thing is, it still is capable of being a pro level car. It just needs a little bit of help. So that's the hope. Like the car is running and driving right now. I just finished it last week or a week ago for a project that we're doing, and it's still a little bumped and bruised and drives a little funky just because of some certain things, but it still did it and still partied and had fun, and it's still very much a car that it's always been. So I'm just
100%.
hoping to continue to make some really good memories with that thing. And it's just, I really just want to get it a pro trophy so bad.
Right. Oh, exactly.
That's all it needs.
I mean,
Yeah.
and that's kind of the thing is it's like FD, the pro level seems to be such a daunting task for even the guys that are jumping in, rookies, even, like even if I can like think back, like this year, I mean, you had the Wonder Kid Manoa and then Connor Shanahan, and then if you look at the rest of the rookies, it was all, I think, probably below mid-20s. I think was probably the highest, and it's like this, even like FD Pro in itself is such a daunting competition for the type of drivers, even to just get like top 8s, and like trying to make it to that top 16. I mean, the bracket that did this year just made it, in my opinion, once you got stuck in the seating bracket, it just made everything so much harder. As well.
I think this seating bracket is like total horseshit. I think it's just like, I think it's cool. I think it's nice to be able to give the drivers who are on the lower pack like their own day to like shine. Like I felt cool when we won the seating bracket, but there's really no reward to it whatsoever, because it's like I won the seating bracket and then my top 32 battle was supposed to be Connor Shanahan. So I'm like, okay, like what did I win? Like
the hardest battle. Congratulations.
Yeah. I get no money. I just get the bragging rights to say I won the seating bracket, but my car went through basically a full top 16 of driving. The car's all beat up, and like, the back of the car is half like gone from just this day of driving. And it's like practice. It's really all it is. But it's like, I understand why they do it and they want to keep it exciting for the fans, but I don't know if that's just the best way to do it. I think qualifying was really sick, so it would be sick if they went back to that.
So you'd rather see qualifying come back rather than them try to like hone in the seating bracket into something different?
I think I lost you guys a little bit.
Oh, you're back. You're just making a silly face, that's all.
It looked like you were pondering for a second, but in fact...
I mean, he probably could still be pondering. We never know.
It's a hard question, I know. Really throwing these curveballs at him.
We might have actually lost him, though. Oh. Well, he's gone. He might come. He'll come back, hopefully. Just here to end off the stream, but...
yeah, just to wrap it up for the evening. Oh, he's back.
Exactly. Oh, there you go.
Dude. Honestly,
I got scared.
Still, honestly, my disconnect was only once or twice.
Yeah, it was only once.
Yeah,
I know.
During the stream,
Oh, it was during the stream. I forgot.
Yeah, I think
it
we
was
lost you once.
Fast. It was like flash.
But yeah, so I think we're almost at basically the 2-hour mark. Honestly, pretty stellar show. I'm not gonna lie.
Agreed.
We had some great laughs. I was kind of crying during the Andy Luck stories, so I was like,
dude,
it was so good.
He's wild, bro.
Oh, and it's my favorite. One of my favorite parts of every interview I've done so far is Andy Luck stories.
Agreed.
Because everyone has them. But also be sure to check out Herbie and Sara down there. Their social handles are underneath. But you guys got anything going on? I mean, can people watch you drive, actually, Sara? Do you have video footage of this actually happening?
I'll post it. I'm very disappointed with how I drove, so I wasn't going to, but I'll post it so everyone can see. I'll be a good example of what it's like when you're still trying to learn.
Nate posts himself now.
Yeah.
He said he wasn't gonna.
You see how many cuts were in that video I posted?
Yeah, but like you still gotta shine.
And the good part about drifting and why I love it is that we can go all the way down to Nate and his very first drift car, me, who's been trying to figure this out for years, and then Mike Power, who's all the way up in Pro 1. And we can all still be homies and still like
Right.
enjoy the sport of drifting that we love so much. So
Absolutely.
Hell
Herbie?
yeah.
Herbie,
What?
Hell yeah.
do you have a new house? So you're going to be in it next week? I'm just curious. Is like you have a new
I've been in this one actually for a minute. I actually have I got a lot going on.
Oh, man.
I got one of the work trucks here. I got to
Oh.
drive home today, so I feel pretty cool about that.
it's official.
So he's going to be doing the episode in the work truck.
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
Next week, truck. Week after that, cave.
Today, another quick 17,000 steps. Hey, dude, not a problem.
Whew, you're gonna be invisible. You're gonna be a speck of dust if you keep that up.
Well, and I actually haven't had any Yinglings today
Damn.
either.
He's the
Oh.
picture of health.
Nice. There you go.
But I had
That body is a temple.
3 double cheeseburgers with bacon from Burger King, though.
There it
so-
is.
You got to even it out, There you go.
It's a mid-
No,
That's all I'll eat today. You got to calorie up, and then
that's
you
going to
know,
get you.
and then tomorrow. But yeah,
Uh,
other than that, dude, do I got anything else
boy.
going on? Nah, I'm hanging
No.
out. I'm just
Well-
trying to make a little bit of money to maybe buy like a camera that's not broken, and
Yeah, I get
I
that.
mean, I
I
want
just-
to, I'm gonna get it repaired, but it's
Yeah.
like I think this is like that was like an omen for an upgrade. So
Oh yeah, I've used that excuse so many times. I'm like, oh bummer, I broke this. Time to
Oh,
upgrade,
it's-
I guess.
Dude, it's been a bunch of years, so it's like, and now especially like using your stuff, I'm like, bro, I go back to using this. I'm like, I hate how am I supposed to actually charge somebody when I know it's like it's like I know that this shit ain't gonna be that good. It's like
Yeah.
there's nothing I can do. Just
Right, yeah. I don't know.
So.
The the filming part of our jobs is quite pricey, as I've told you earlier. And sometimes people try and take money from you, which I'm trying to deal with right now. So it's a good time. But
big drama.
Me.
yeah. But other
You owe
than
me
that,
$5 million.
I've been doing like learning how to like stream games and stuff now, which has been kind of fun. But I'm still
Oh,
learning. It's a
shit.
work in process, And,
Good stuff.
Yeah,
Pikel Power, do you stream at all? You got a nice like mic set up and everything?
dude, it's super fancy.
No, I got this for important business calls. I wanted people to hear my beautiful voice.
Sounds great.
He's just getting ready for you, Herbie. Okay, that's all.
Oh, whoa.
Oh, there
No,
it
he
is. We
dropped-
talked about
he
it.
dropped
We
it.
talked. Now that's 2. We're getting close.
One on the
Everyone,
board.
we might have talked about this before we went live, but yeah. Mike was saying that we should, like, well, I guess once we have merch or whatever, that we should do a giveaway for whoever can correctly guess the amount of times Herbie's gonna dip out of the live.
It's crazy.
Total actually 3, but during the stream.
Yeah,
2.
only 2 during the stream, but yeah, it's all good though. I feel like I'm just rambling at this point. Again,
Yeah.
I appreciate everyone coming to hang out. I appreciate Mike for taking some time out of his day to hang out with us, and all you guys in the chat asking him questions. You guys are the rock stars. And
Yeah.
I think we're gonna end it off here. If you like the stream, be sure to like and subscribe. And until next time, we'll see you later.
See you next Tuesday.